With the United
to read
States
more.
Treasury about to run out of money in June, do you think the government will pass the debt ceiling bill? Jason, hit me with it.
So the Republicans just passed their version of their debt ceiling bill where they want to say they pretty much want to take the COVID money that was out there given to all these states, rein it back in because a lot of these states still have a ton of that COVID money that's unused. And what McCarthy and the Republicans are trying to do is bring that money back in and say, hey, we'll raise the debt ceiling. I think they want to raise it another 1.5 trillion. But Biden administration and Democrats are like, no, we want a clean bill, just raise it, who cares? Right? And Republicans kind of found God. Right, and they're like, "Oh yeah, now we want to save money."
Republicans found God. That's kind of
they've
funny.
always been.
They've always been fighting God.
It's always one of their primary arguments.
Yeah, I was like, go ahead. We keep going.
They run their campaigns on it.
Literally.
Yeah, but it's like they've always spent money.
Yeah.
Right. They've never had a problem.
Don't touch my defense
spending money. Right. Yeah. They never want to save or cut. Right now, all of a sudden they want to cut money and save and do what's right.
Now all of a
And-
sudden they don't want to go to war.
yeah, pretty much. And
That was a Trump thing.
And
Trump didn't
I
like war.
think one of the problems is, and I've been saying this, and we'll see what happens, but I actually think McCarthy's going to wait until the 12th hour and actually let us go into default. If Biden and
Why do you think that?
approve a point.
Oh, dude.
But he already passed the bill.
way.
No. So it got passed through the Republican House because remember, Republicans
Democratic
control
Senate
the House.
probably won't pass.
It's got to go into Democrat. They're not going to pass it more than likely. Even if they did pass it, then Biden would just veto it.
I'm going to tell you right now, we will never go into default because that is credit suicide for our nation. We've raised the debt ceiling 30 consecutive times, and you're gonna see them settle. It's just to the point of a negotiation, just like we all do in our house business or just commercial or real estate business. You negotiate as far as you can to get them just down penny by penny by penny to make your margin work or make your political viewpoint work. But you're going to end up settling because the international and global perspective against the dollar, it's already weakening with the BRICS, and nations are trying to leave the dollar in general because of our political uncertainty and our dollar security. Like, I think we will ultimately balk as, Republicans on the right side of the House to the Democrats. I think the point is just like, can we get this spending under control? Can we just not be so out of the world on this? Because what's going to happen, and why, again, I think there's going to be a 25 bip rate hike, and it's going to be this endless cycle of rate hike versus inflation, is because our government's going to continually print money. And we're just going to continually be in this thing of like, when does inflation stop? It's like, I don't know. It's when we stop printing money like crazy. And also with the banking crisis, we've had a really tight balance sheet and people aren't like offloading the government bonds. Nobody's buying our government bonds right now. And so I think our monetary supply is getting so constrained that we're going to have to print money regardless. And we're going to have to spend more, and we're going to have to raise the debt ceiling, or we're going to be in a real capital crunch, not just as a country for the strength of our dollar, but just as like an ability to economically perform for our internal uses as the United States of America. So they're going to raise it.
So you think they're just going to kick the can?
But
basically?
every
100%.
time that they
always
raise it,
do. Yeah, go ahead.
every time they raised it, which in theory, the Fed is not connected to the federal government, but in reality, for every time that the Fed increases the rate, our payments as a country goes up.
Yep.
That's the debt that the country has to take, and that hurts our debt.
I know.
I mean, our payments were so much less
Yep.
when the rate was like 25 basis points.
Dude, it was like $300 billion less.
Yeah.
So
it's
you
insane.
think it's just a negotiation tactic?
I think it's a complete negotiation tactic. I think it's like, hey, this is what we want. It's also to just show from the Republican side and the Republican constituents, hey, we're making the effort. The Democrats are keeping us from raising the debt ceiling right now. We're ready to make a deal. This is our deal on the table. And the Democrats are stopping you, and they're risking your economic future and your economic security. That's kind of what's going down.
See, I kind of disagree because we're so divided right now that we now have people on the right that are like the people on the left.
Yep.
We now have our AOCs and the squad members, right? On the right with Margie or MGT
yeah.
And McCarthy.
and Matt Gaetz and all that. And not saying they're right or wrong, but I think that they don't care. Just like AOC and the squad don't care if we spend $90 trillion on the Green Deal, right? Matt Gaetz and MGT and all them, they don't care if we default because they don't understand what a default is. I'm with you. It's not going to be a good sign, even if we go a day, right? Because a default's
one
a default.
day.
One day
is horrible.
But here's the thing: is Biden administration's already come out and said we are non-negotiating pass a clean bill. They've dug their feet in. Okay, Biden won't even take a meeting with McCarthy for the last 90 days.
I don't think Biden's taking any meetings at all right now.
Taking
Right?
naps.
Well, he's not even awake.
Well, he's in line for ice cream.
Yeah.
But
He's in a
Falling off his
cryo.
bike.
He's in a cryo chamber somewhere.
but
Like Walt Disney.
but with that being said, I think that McCarthy has to be really careful because the Republicans will kick him out of the speaker. Remember, he only needs a couple of them to say you're gone, and those couple are on the far right.
And he made deals with everybody.
And but the problem is you're making deals with everybody. Who do you appease for this one?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm scared. Listen, we're so divided. Nobody cares.
It comes up every year. Every year they vote yes. It happens every time.
I'm going with history.
It's yeah.
Hey,
History's
there's always one
a
time.
safe bet.
And Wall Street freaks out about it sometimes, but every single time they've approved it, I literally put no mental thought into it.
No,
whatsoever.
the only mental thought I put into it, which affects all of us, is how does it affect inflation? That's just it. I mean, I don't think we've even seen the effects of Biden's spending bill, his Inflation Reduction Act. We haven't seen his spending towards the infrastructure in the United States even hit our supply chains for our contractors yet. That hasn't been rolling up underway. I'm with some, state and federal contractors, and I'm like, hey, when's it happening? It's like, dude, we're just waiting, to fix the roads and do all these government-funded projects. So again, we're spending a lot of money. Again, we're also, majority of us are right-sided here. We have an enormous spending on our defense sector. Don't balk at it because I like living in a defense-safe country, and that's also the point of like, hey, maybe we do default. Like, what are people going to do? Come and get our money? Like, yeah, we have the largest spending towards our military. With the next 7 combined don't even add up to the United States military spending.
Yeah.
So it's weird, but it's just, again, I think it's all about providing strength to the dollar in this market.